Michelle, for those lovely words. This extract that I'm going to read comes from a chapter called The Glass Worm, and it's quite near the beginning of the novel. And it's the first proper meeting between the two main characters, who are Liddy, a teenage servant, and Lord Webble, who is the owner of Madam Hall. I should also just say this book is set in the 1970s, a quick Surgeon's General health warning: there will be positive representations of smoking. It doesn't mean I support it. It was Liddy's first day by herself on the lick, spit and polish patrol. She tickled the dust from a surface or two, squared a rug, plumped a cushion. She flustered her rag at a spot on the wall and was turning to walk down the stairs when she stopped in mid-footstep. From one of the 88 rooms in the house, she heard music. She didn't just hear it, she felt it. A melody thin as a needle, her limbs pricked with gooseflesh, and under the needle-thin melody, layers of notes with the same rolling swell as the organ in church, but 1,000 times higher and sharper, as if it was made out of glass. Her whole body rang with the sound, like a bell being tongued. And without even knowing she'd done it, she'd opened a door and gone through. And with each door she opened, the music grew higher and sharper, the hairs stretching up on the back of her neck. Until, nudging a fifth door, she stopped on the shadowy threshold and peered round the doorframe as far as she dared. At the end of the room, in a yellowy halo of light, stood Lord Webble. His hair fell in tarry black waves to his collar, his arms in dark shirt sleeves were reaching for something. The thing he was reaching towards was a long, narrow box in the shape of a coffin. The box had no lid. It was standing on gently bowed legs, the wood sickly with varnish. And under his hands, in the box, lay a wet glass tube like a lava or chrysalis, almost the length of an outstretched arm. The tube spun as she watched. Webble stroked at the glass with his fingers, occasionally dipping his hand in a glass bowl of water that sat on the edge of the box. While his fingers were dipping and stroking, his shoe pumped a treadle. The treadle was making it spin, and the spinning and stroking together were making the music. She rested her head on the jamb of the door and stood motionless, holding each breath for as long as she could. Her legs stiffened, her lungs felt like bursting. She still didn't move. If she moved, he might know she was there. If she moved, he might stop. "You do know I can see you," he said. Liddy opened her eyes without knowing she'd closed them, and Webble was drawing his hands from the tube and the music was swallowed by silence. "Would you like to come in?" "But I'm not," she broke off. "I'm a housemaid," she said. Webble's eyes were bemused. "So you are." A soft pack of gauloises appeared in his hand. "Do you smoke?" Liddy's cheeks were so hot they were throbbing. She managed a nod and she picked her way over the carpet, her heart shoving hard at her chest. His shadow was sprawled on the wainscot. He tilted the pack so that one of the cigarettes slithered towards her. As soon as she grabbed it, he made the pack vanish again with a soft, silky movement. And now there were suddenly matches instead, and he struck one and lifted the flame to her face. Her breath made the yellow flame bend, and she sucked till she smelt the familiar hot singeing of burning tobacco. She nodded her head at the tube. "What is it?" "What, this?" Webble laughed. "It's my little glass worm." He was lighting the tip of his own cigarette. "If I'd known you were listening, I wouldn't..." He blew out the match. "You're feeling quite well?" "Why wouldn't I be?" For a small group of people, sound can be rather provoking. His face in the lamplight was gauzy with smoke, and yet somehow his features were sharper and crisper than any she'd seen, as if everyone Liddy had met until now had been muffled or stifled. She made herself look at the tube, not at Webble. "Can anyone play it?" "Of course," Webble said. But the question of whether one should is a quite different